All right, folks, welcome back into the lounge. It has been a minute, probably about 40 days, so over a month. NFL draft came and went. I needed a break. We are back. I'm Jake ELLENBOGEN, your host, and joining me is a good friend of mine I met doing all of this draft content years ago, Kyle Sloter. How you doing, man? Welcome.
What's up, Jake? How you doing, man? Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited to have you. You probably we were talking about this off air. You've probably been on my shows more than any other guest, and we've talked about so many different things, and I've learned so much just about the league and what you went through, and kind of the spring leagues as well. You yourself got me into the USFL, so like I wasn't even planning on watching it, and then I watched every single game because you were in it. But we're gonna talk about all of that. For those of you who don't know who Kyle Sloter is, you may have seen him on one of these teams, the Broncos. You were on the Vikings, the Cardinals, the Lions, the Bears, the Raiders, the New Orleans Breakers, the Jaguars, Arlington Renegades, and the Birmingham Stallions. Do I have that all right?
That's right. I've been around a few places, a journeyman of sorts.
Yes. Yes, you have. And you know what? It is not a bad thing, right? It's been fun to follow your journey. I mean, we'll get into it. I do feel like you were kind of screwed by today's league. But we'll get into all of that. All USFL quarterback. You can actually find Kyle's jersey in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I assume you know that, but I don't know if you did. I assume.
Yeah, I do. I gotta say, you take anything you can get, but it feels a little bit unwarranted to be next to in a place of such high football prestige and the things that all the other guys have accomplished in that building. So things that I feel like I maybe could have accomplished in my own career if given the chance, but some things they don't happen the way you see them in your mind's eye, and so it's an honor to be in there for sure, in some capacity. Although I don't know that it's necessarily deserving. I'll say that.
That's fair. You did also win a USFL title, so that was cool, right? So you got some hardware, which is great, and you were obviously very successful in college and high school. So we'll talk about that. First off, how are things without going too much into what you're doing now, because we're gonna save that after this
Yeah.
whole kind of intro into who you are. But how are you doing as a whole following your football career?
Yeah, doing great. Started a couple companies that have kept, like we talked about off air, those passions that I have kind of burning within me. The drive to compete. So I found a love for what I'm doing outside of football, and I can't complain. I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't go back, because football will always be a part of me and something that I wish I got the opportunity to continue to do for as long as possible. But I'm happy with what I'm doing now. I'm married, my wife's great, everybody in my family is healthy, I'm healthy. Uh, God's been good, so we're doing good on this side.
No, that's great, man. And I think you've handled it really well. I mean, obviously, I know it's been frustrating, a lot of frustration and a lot of talent that, a lot of development that I think you were still doing. And you were kind of put in a tough position where, yeah, you kind of have to go play over in the backyard, which is essentially, the USFL, the XFL, and show us what you can do when you kind of already did. But you had to do it with guys that, and we've talked about before, some of these guys are like, yeah, okay, these guys definitely, they just need another shot and they're good. But you're also like dealing with like some offensive linemen that aren't quite on the level of NFL offensive linemen. So you yourself dealt with a lot of pressure, not just, not just mentally, but obviously physically. And I watched you get hit like crazy in the USFL. But I'm kind of speaking out of turn here because I want to start from the very beginning. Kyle, what was your childhood like growing up?
Yeah, I grew up in a sports loving household. My first memories were with a basketball, football, or baseball in my hand. Really think fondly of those days. My dad teaching me everything that I knew. Great father. Mom instilled in me a lot of the values that I hold dear today. I have a brother that pushed me. He's kind of, before all the other whys that you have in your life that you're like, why do you do this? My brother was probably the first one for me of like, hey, I want to be that role model to him, someone that he can look to for guidance and how to do things the right way. Um, so he kind of kept me on the straight and narrow in a way because I knew that for whatever reason, I just had this internal thing that I didn't want to look bad in my brother's eyes, um, which wasn't a bad thing. And so from there, I went to a smaller high school. Had I known the things that I know today, I probably wouldn't have. That's probably why you aren't given the information, and God kind of has you in His hands and places you where you're supposed to be at the, current spot and time that you're supposed to. I probably would have tried to stay at the bigger high school that I was going to. I learned after the fact that I was the only kid in single A football that had received a Division I scholarship in 3 seasons. And so had I known those odds at the time, I probably, because the ultimate goal, the reason I left in the first place was because that bigger high school is not going to allow me to play basketball as well. So I knew that I wanted to continue to play basketball. You're going into high school. I'm 14 years old. I don't want to have to choose or change or I want to do the things that I love. So I left and did that. And, in my mind, I'm like, hey, if I get onto the field early, which I was able to do, I started it on both as a freshman. So I'm able to get on the field early, then, maybe I will have more film and more opportunity to show these coaches what I can do. And in many cases, the opposite was true, where like, yeah, you have more film, but nobody's coming to watch single A football. So, took matters into my own hands, called every single college at the Division I level, ended up getting an opportunity to play in front of coach by the name of Ricky Bussell, who's still the only coach that, still obvious. He's the only coach that offered me. He offered me at Tulane University, and then when that coaching staff got fired, he left and went to Southern Mississippi and offered me there as the quarterbacks coach. So ended up committing to him in both places. Went to Southern Mississippi. They moved me to receiver right away. As a telling me you're going to play quarterback. I was a 6'5" guy that was pretty athletic and could move and run, and they wanted me on the field in some capacity, but they didn't give me the opportunity to play quarterback. I did that for 3 years. They ended up taking my scholarship. Transferred to Northern Colorado, who told me I would play quarterback. They immediately made me a receiver as soon as I signed the papers there. And then my senior year, I was the backup quarterback to the incumbent starter, who is younger than me. So I'm kind of thinking, like quarterback dream's dead. We're gonna go be a financial advisor after football, which was all well and good in my mind. And the starting quarterback ended up getting hurt my senior year, the very first play of my senior year, and ended up just taking it from there and playing really, really well and getting an opportunity with the Denver Broncos. And that led to, getting to play in the NFL for 6 years. And, at the time, I never would have thought that God would have had me in that position to play in the NFL. If my senior year, you told me that, a year removed, I was going to be playing with the Minnesota Vikings, I would have thought you were crazy. Um, but no, I feel like, I gosh, I don't want to. In my mind, it feels like a miracle because I know the odds and the things I was up against. So I feel like I was a part of a modern day miracle in my story. But I'm sure a lot of people have their own experiences that way. So I'm not gonna make myself feel special. But yeah, I felt like I got to experience some pretty cool things, and I'm grateful for it.
No, it's crazy. It's a great story. I mean, it is a bummer because I still remember talking to Charles Davis, who of course works for the NFL Network and CBS, and I remember him and I talking about you because I actually saw him in person at the Senior Bowl, and he had mentioned he's like, yeah, Kyle Sloter's still on that Vikings roster. Like I wouldn't rule him out, and I feel like you had kind of this It was not just me. Like you had kind of this following of like the the guys that are willing to dive into the tape on a deeper level
Yeah,
for like the typical like the UDFA borderline seventh round
yeah,
players. And I don't know why this isn't done more, Kyle, because to be honest with you, you have your top heavy quarterbacks in every draft. But I think a lot of the time, a lot of the power five guys, you know, you see them get drafted from rounds 4 through 7, but you're like, they have a lot of marketability. They
yes,
wear the big team name on the helmet. They get to go to the Senior Bowl, the Shrine Bowl. They go to
yeah,
the Combine, which of course you weren't invited to any of those, I don't believe.
no,
And I feel like there are more people, maybe not exact skill set and everything, but there are more people out there like yourself where they play at a small school and it's just chalked up to, oh, well, Northern Colorado doesn't play anybody. I know that, you
yeah,
know, this guy at Memphis or, you know, this guy at Rutgers, they might not have been the best quarterbacks in the Power Five, but I know that they could play in the Power Five. That's a big issue I have with watching quarterbacks during the draft because I feel like there are guys like yourself. I remember there was a kid. Hey, he's not a kid anymore. It's funny, but there was a kid out of Dartmouth,
okay,
Dalen Williams,
okay,
and I think you both were similar in kind of like the way you played. And I remember there were guys like Emery Hunt always kind of shouts out the smaller guy. He was another one who was on you as well. So I do feel like over the course of time doing this since 2017, maybe even 2016, I've just noticed patterns where be like, oh, this guy came out of nowhere. It's like, did he, or just did you not have the right eyes
yeah,
on him? So when you went to Denver,
yeah.
you were really well liked. Like I remember it was Von Miller. Was he pushing for you to start, or was it Talib? Which one was it?
Uh, both really. Akib to so. Von Miller was is a good friend of mine. Somebody that was pushing for me. Aqib Talib. There's a video that made its rounds at the time of after my last preseason game with Denver. He was kind of like walking with me, hyping me up as the cameras were following me off the field, and I kind of had a little bit of an entourage around me. Um, and then you have somebody like Emmanuel Sanders. Like Emmanuel Sanders, as I'm sitting there. I was always told to soak in the moments, especially for someone like myself who the future in football is always uncertain. Now, had I done stuff at that point in the last, minute or two where I know I'm not going back out on the field in my fourth preseason game, having done very well and felt like I was probably going to be somewhere. Yeah, I thought that that was probably going to be the case. Emmanuel Sanders comes and sits right next to me, and he says, "You just had the best preseason of any rookie at any position I've ever seen." And
I agree with
for
that.
for a guy like that to say something like that to you, I mean, somebody that I still look up to. You know, eh, it just, gosh, you're gonna make me wonder. I feel like I've moved past the what ifs in my own life of like, what if this had, what if, hey, we're healthy, we're happy, we're doing other things. You're gonna have me thinking about all the, geez, I should still be out there. But no, it was moments like that that kind of told me that you belong here. And you have, gosh, Oliveira. His name was Brock. I think it was Brock Oliveira. I know his name's Brock, but
Osweiler,
no,
the
no, no.
quarterback.
The he was the
Oh, okay, yeah,
special teams coordinator for the Broncos at the time. And
gotcha,
so
gotcha.
and he went to the Bears after that. And I think I'm getting the last name slightly wrong, but it's Brock Ola something. And so, things like that where I'm halfway through a training camp with the Broncos and, I'm just, hey, what's up, coach? Good morning. And he turns around and passes me. And, I'm in a building with Trevor Simeon and Paxton Lynch, who, they have their own redeemable qualities and are good friends. And I'm not saying this at all but, he walks past me. He's like, hey, you're the best quarterback in this building. Like you should be the guy. And he's like, keep going. And then you have somebody like Bill Musgrave, who's your quarterbacks coach, who like, hey, we just drafted Paxton last year in the first round, and Paxton's one of my very good friends. So definitely not trying. He'd probably laugh with me on this, because we all have our own ups. And in his own right, he's had to deal with so much more that like I'm an undrafted free agent. I can come in there and play so loose and free, and like there's no expectations on me at all. When you're a first round pick, I mean, who knows? Me in that situation, I would like to think that I wouldn't, but maybe you do. Maybe the expectations of the world make you somebody that you're not. Because I've seen Paxton when he's not on the field, just throwing a football. He's got one of the most talented arms, and I mean that I've ever seen. And then you combine 6'7" with mobile. I mean he based on his traits, his college film, and all those types of things, like, people say he didn't pan out to, I just don't think he was in the right system. I don't think he was in a place that nurtured him. And everybody is different in how they handle some of those situations. Being a first round pick and expected to take over a team that had won a Super Bowl a year before, and Peyton Manning be your quarterback, it's a tough act to follow. So I was free and clear. So definitely not saying this to shit on anyone. But Bill Musgrave saying like, "Hey, you're saying something along the same lines of like you're the best quarterback we have here. Like keep going." And like I don't know that you're going to be the guy, but like you stick around and keep doing this, you're going to get your chance. So because obviously as an undrafted free agent, the Broncos would be freaking crazy as a rookie to start an undrafted free agent. That's just not going to happen. So you're going to wait and bide your time. Although that's probably the way it should have shook out that first year. Um, it didn't, and that's okay. That's okay. But no, super grateful for the experiences there. I got off subject and forgot the original question, but nah, I super grateful for my time in Denver.
Yeah, no, that's good though. Like now people get to know you a little bit more that don't, and people that are, because you have a lot of fans, and I think that's kind of the cool thing here is that when you do ball out, whether it's preseason or not, you do catch eyes. People do watch in August, whether they want to admit it or not. They just do. And you had a lot of fans. Slaughterhouse, right? Was a big thing going around in Minnesota. You didn't throw picks. You just threw touchdowns, or you ran for touchdowns. And I mean, I'm watching this, and I mean, I followed you at Northern Colorado during the draft process. I didn't get a
Yeah,
chance to watch every game or ever, but whatever tape I could find, I was really impressed. You were a top 5 quarterback I graded in that draft, so I had an eye on you. But like, I'm watching these games, and I'm like, okay, he's making me look a little smart here. And then we of course did an interview, I think, before you went to the NFL, but I think it was like one of the day or two before.
yeah,
But it was cool to see. And I wasn't I didn't feel like super biased, because all of a sudden everyone's talking about it. The highlights are on NFL Network, and you're like, huh. And I start thinking like Kurt Warner, Jake Delhomme, Warren Moon start coming up in my head, Tony Romo, UDFAs that became franchise quarterbacks. And I'm like, I really think this guy has something. And there were other people saying it. And it was really fun to watch. And then especially when Barstool started like openly cheering for you. Like there were guys at
yeah,
Barstool that were like, "Oh, Kyle Sloter's my guy." And it was really cool to see, because that's your moment. I mean, you did everything you could. You controlled what you could control. If you're never given an opportunity to start in a game, you definitely didn't have the luck of a former teammate at a certain
yeah,
school that is still in the NFL. But that's the
yeah.
thing. You made the most of what you were given. And that's why I like to point that out.
Yeah, I think that's where the peace comes from. I'm a highly competitive individual. I try to win with grace, lose with grace, but it doesn't sit well with me when I lose at things. And if I lose at them, and unfortunately, in a business like that, if you lose, you're cut, you don't get to play football again, you don't get another crack at it. So it just has to sit on your heart of like, What if I had done this? What if I had done that? I think the piece for me, and I'm so thankful that God afforded me this because I'm somebody that it would not sit well with had I done things like, what if I'd, you know, just let it rip this day, or if I had the benefit of good play calling, good teammates, guys making plays for me, and there's really nothing, if I can sit here and say I did everything, there's not a single step in a certain direction that I can question. Um, I think that's what makes it easier for me on this side of things, and I'm super thankful for that because I am not the type of guy. I mean, I'll sit here and ruminate over something like that constantly. So definitely thankful for that. But I'm with you. I am somebody that believes heavily in myself, and I have said, because when you look at what the NFL is, yes, I went to Northern Colorado, but when you are somebody that makes it in the NFL, I think you have a case to say, okay, I went to Northern Colorado, but I should have probably been at a Georgia, or I should have probably been at an Alabama, or I should have probably been at a
I agree
Michigan or
completely with that.
an Ohio State or something of that nature. Because if you think about it, you have your Jake Froms that go to national championships but go to the NFL and it's just not for them. And you find out that maybe there were some things at Georgia that just helped his case and made him maybe look a little better, maybe great teammates, maybe great coaching, whatever
Yeah,
it was, it lifted him. There's very few guys that can lift a program. And I feel like, and this is purely hypothetical, but I feel like I'm the type of guy that, okay, we say you make it to the NFL, you should be at a big program like that. Well, if I feel like if I go to a Georgia or an Alabama or a Florida State or something of that nature, I'm a first round pick. Because if I would put my Northern Colorado senior year highlight film up against anyone in the country. So I think you're end up where you're supposed to be and where you're meant to be. Who's to say that I wouldn't have gone to Georgia and again you stumble under the lights or whatever it is. But I think now about how NIL is the thing and how guys are getting 6 years, and had I been able to go back for another year and like transfer, because the transfer portal was not a thing when I was playing football. So you transfer
oh
to from
man,
Northern Colorado to like an Oregon or
yeah.
something like that, and I mean it would have been set up for me to do something. I missed out on something there. I missed out on something there for sure.
Oh, dude, that hurts because I didn't even factor that in. And but it is a reminder though that like times change for better or for worse. And the players that I just mentioned, maybe that's an issue with the NFL. I feel like to a degree, there are positions there are guys anybody can make the NFL, right? There's a
Yeah,
guy from Lenore Ryan I interviewed. He actually, I think, a big reason because he got picked up at the Senior Bowl.
yeah,
Really good player, and Kyle Duggar, right?
yep.
But he's a safety. If that's Lenore Ryan quarterback, he doesn't get invited to a
No,
Senior Bowl. I
no,
feel like the quarterback is there's just a different like. I trust me. I went to the Senior Bowl 3 times. There's not a lot of great throwers of the football there. You see
no.
a Josh Allen who was not accurate when I saw him, by the way. He
Yeah,
struggled
yeah,
in the
yeah.
practices.
Oh
But
yeah,
obviously, Josh Allen is the MVP of the league, right?
yeah,
You see Baker Mayfield. He takes care of his mom. He comes off a red eye to get there. And
yeah,
he looked pretty good. But then you
yeah,
see some other guys, and you're like, this is an all star game, right?
yeah.
So,
Quarterback.
like just because you wore the helmet at a
Yeah.
big program. And I think that is where the NFL gets it wrong. I just do. And I think there
Well,
were guys that were drafted this year out of those big programs that were drafted higher. And there are some UDFAs that probably are more talented.
yeah. Well, the
So,
quarterback position as a whole, it's unfortunate, and we've talked about this on previous shows. But it's a popularity
yeah,
contest. And like a guy
of
like,
course.
maybe this is my opinion. So take it for what it's worth. Which is probably not a whole lot, but like Dylan Gabriel going in the third round. is a massive, massive reach in my opinion. I
I was
think
surprised by that.
I personally, and maybe I'll get a lot of hate for this, but I personally think you could, if you're really into Dylan Gabriel, you probably could have thrown $100,000 at him in undrafted free agency and gotten him. I mean, probably maybe sixth, seventh round free agent. Like that was kind of the grade that I have on him. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I think it's definitely a popularity contest, and that's also why, like, you know, don't get me wrong, I don't want to shortchange my skill. I think I'm one of the, and people laugh at this, but I feel okay saying it. I think I'm one of the best passers of the football on the planet. I feel like I've always just had that gift, and there's just not many guys that throw the football well. There's good quarterbacks like you have Tim Tebow, who is one of the greatest college quarterbacks of all time, and he's just not a gifted. He's a gifted leader. He's a gifted runner. He's a gifted motivator. But when you really need the guy to drop back and throw a dime to somebody, he's probably not the guy you're looking for to do that. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think the quarterback position is definitely a popularity contest, and it's a little bit of a shame because of that. I think there's a lot of misses when it comes to evaluating and drafting quarterbacks.
I agree. And I mean, the number one overall pick went to Incarnate Word. And then because of the transfer portal, was able to go to Washington State.
Yep.
And then he played at Miami. So
Yeah.
this idea that, guys like you couldn't have done that, and obviously I love Cam Ward. I loved
Yeah.
him at Washington State. But I just feel like, yeah, it is frustrating. And I just feel like, in a way, everything that we were told, like when I was young, I remember hearing, oh, he's injury prone, not going to
Yeah.
draft an injury prone quarterback. Now we're seeing Tyler Shuck go in the second round. Now we're
Yeah.
seeing Michael Penix Jr. go 8th overall,
Yeah.
I guess I don't really get it. And you think you would learn from history, like Kurt Warner,
Yeah.
Tony Romo, right? But it just doesn't. It feels like it's going backwards. It feels like, I would
It
say,
does.
since COVID, they
Yeah.
focus more. No idea why I'm losing my voice here. They focus more, I would say, on the Power Five guys since COVID. I've noticed that. I feel like that is a thing. So,
Yeah.
no idea why that's the case, but I would say the last guy that kind of got a raw deal before the whole, well, actually, because of
Yeah.
COVID, I think is Trey Lance. Because
Yes.
Trey Lance
Yeah.
stayed at the same school the whole time, and then he gets one showcase game. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all he had that year. And I think a
Yeah.
lot of people forget about that. And then he goes to a situation where the 49ers, you got a GM that wants him, you got a head
Yeah.
coach that didn't want him to begin with, and then the Cowboys don't develop anybody. So
Yeah.
at that point, it's like, and now he's already just assumed as this bust, and that's the problem. So, yeah, I don't love it. I know you did some work on quarterbacks for a little bit on YouTube. I don't know if you're gonna bring that back, but you were great at breaking it down. Brock Purdy,
Yeah.
Caleb Williams. I thought you hit the nail on the head. But I guess kind of just looking at everything, and kind of I guess wrapping up this part of it.
Yeah.
There was essentially there was that tweet that people were talking. I know you got shade for, people sided with you for. It was the one about and we had talked about this off air. It was, there are teams that are scared to get. I don't remember the tweet exact, but the idea of it was they're scared to get a quarterback as a backup that can actually challenge the guy that they've already labeled as the starter, essentially. So I guess I agree 100%. But what were your thoughts, like, kind of going throughout the NFL, seeing it, being up close and personal? Like, do you, I guess as a quarterback, would you recommend like a USFL path for a young quarterback? Or now I think it's the US, is it?
The UFL.
I don't know.
I think
the
yeah,
UFL. I think yeah. Yeah, would you recommend that path based on what you've gone through, or would you say go right through UDFA, try and make it in the NFL? What kind of path would you take if you were recommending that to a young quarterback?
Yeah, I I would highly recommend against the UFL. Um,
Mm.
for a couple of reasons. So in my own experience, now given I wasn't 22, 23 years old, I was
Yeah,
28, turned 29, had already done 5 years. Um, but at the time, I'm sitting there, I was faced with the decision of, hey, you got to go get film. And my contract at the time with the Vikings, my second go around with the Vikings was not guaranteed. So the USFL was offering a nice payment for 10 weeks work, and the chance to get film, which was the most important thing for me because you're going into year six and it's like, hey, if you don't have real game film, like preseason is great. Everybody looks at preseason in a way that is almost like practice, which I think is probably not the right way to look at it because when you think about it, preseason, in my opinion, is in many ways harder than the regular season. And everyone's like, you're not going up against the Miles Garrett's. You're not going up against the Bobby Wagner's. You're not going up against the great corners in the league. And I'm like, well, it's all relative because like I'm going against maybe the second or third string defensive line, but I'm playing with the second or third string offensive line. And so the other piece of
exactly.
like playing in the preseason is you're not getting the game planning. So like nobody's sitting there, like we don't sit there through training camp and like watch film of like our preseason game. It's like, hey, this is up to you to like figure it out. And as you can imagine, as a rookie who doesn't know how to study, I mean, I'm just sitting there like I just had a tweet about it today, commenting on Chase Daniel's stuff with Caleb Williams, where he's like, nobody taught him how to study. And it's in somebody's book where it's like the
I saw
coaches,
that.
yeah, yeah. And so I'm like, so as a rookie, you can imagine, like, I'm literally just watching film. Like, I'm not watching third down cut ups. I'm not watching blitz breakdowns. I'm not watching base downs. I'm not breaking it up into the days like Chase Daniels was talking about the way you're supposed to. I'm literally just watching full game film and, like, oh, so and so looks pretty good out here on the corner. But then, like, you're also it's a new team. Like I'm watching the 49ers from last year, but I got to play them this year and it's a 70% of the team is different and the guys that I'm going against
Yeah,
were in college or like backups that didn't play. So it's like you don't get to see the guys you're going against. And then people really don't think about the fact that like when I'm in practice with the Vikings, with whoever, wherever I was getting at most on a good day 10 plays in that practice. Kirk Cousins is getting 60. So like, and I'm getting 10 plays with the other offensive linemen and the other receivers as well. So it's like we don't have the time to gel and be cohesive. So we don't have the coaching, we don't have the time to gel and be cohesive. So you are, to me, that it's the ultimate test when you turn on third and fourth quarter football after the starters go out in preseason. That is, to me, one of the best indicators of leadership, the ability to win or succeed against all the odds. I think there's a reason when you turn on third and fourth quarter football, it looks like shit. Is because none of those guys, it's not because you have shitty players, because those are the best players in the world still. Like your third string on an
yeah,
NFL team was all Big Ten and all SEC and drafted in whatever round. They're not shitty players. They just have no time on the field together. They have no time to go over certain looks. They haven't been like, you're not watching film for these preseason games. So there's a reason it looks the way it looks. Now, to get back to the original point, I would not go the UFL route simply because it appears, and this being my own experience with it, it appears that when you go the UFL route, and this is where the league is failing its players, they should be basically, I'm watching Game of Thrones, they should be bending the knee to the NFL, and they should be like, hey, we're a feeder minor league system for you guys. Give us your young coaches that you want to get more experience. Give us your young quarterbacks, your young players, whatever you have to basically be, let's get you guys reps and let's get you onto the next level. They take this like competitive mindset with the NFL, and the NFL looks at you as like, for lack of a better term, not my favorite term, um, a redheaded stepchild. You're the redheaded stepchild that's like, not you're just not their guy. You're not, you are, I was labeled when I left a UFL quarterback. So like I had done 5 years in the NFL, but I was a UFL quarterback in their eyes. Like once you leave and you go, it's like, hey, you're damaged goods. It's like, we don't want you back. It's like, they almost view you as if you're the guy, like if you were dating a girl and then she left to go date someone else and then brought her back, like you guys start dating again, like it's almost like you're damaged goods type of thing, like that's how they view you. So um yeah, I would recommend, if you can avoid the UFL, I would avoid it, personally. And that's not a slight to the guys that are there. That's just it. They don't want to be there either, to be quite honest with you. They're playing to be at the NFL level. But that's all they have. That's the only opportunities they have. So I would definitely try to go the UDFA route. And in my experience, and this is where I was going with on the last topic before I got distracted, you have to have a lot of luck. Like I went into the Denver Broncos, and I think I've told this story on your podcast before, where I had three offers. The two that I was really considering was Washington Redskins and Denver Broncos. And so the Washington Redskins, and this gives you a little insight into who I am. The Washington Redskins were offering me $20,000, and the Denver Broncos were offering me $2,000. Now I'm coming out of college as not a rich person. I have $2,000 to my name, and I spent 800 of it on a tattoo on my left arm, so I had $1,200. So $20,000 sounded like I was going to be freaking rich. And so I'm sitting there like, people put their money where their mouth is, blah blah blah, and like the Washington Redskins, but they're like, you're going to be the fourth or fifth guy on this roster. And so I'm like, okay. And then the Denver Broncos were like, well, you're going to be the third guy because Chad Kelly is hurt. So like you're going to get a lot of reps in OTAs, and then we'll see what happens. And I guessed right. Chad Kelly did not handle himself the right way and ends up re-tearing his
Ah.
UCL in his wrist. And so I got to be the guy all through training camp and into preseason. And so, yes, you have to get lucky as well to make it as a UDFA or late draft pick. There's got to be, and then once you get lucky, you have to have the skill to back it up.
No, I mean, there's a lot of truth there. There really is, and I wish it would have gone different. I mean, I've been covering the Rams forever. I'm a longtime Rams fan. I still can't believe that the Rams never gave you a call. It still
Mm.
bugs me to this day because I'll tell you, if Sean McVay got a hold of you, I really think about this.
Oh
This
man.
is really the thing that irks me the most about you not getting an opportunity. I'm 5'8". So, like, I see a lot of the short guys get completely, like, shit on, and it irks me. But you're 6'5". Like, that like, height barrier doesn't exist there. But,
Yeah.
like, it's so weird to me because nothing against John Wolford. Like, I liked watching his kind of come up from
Yeah.
the AAF to go to the
Yep.
Rams. But I feel like you're probably more suited to play in this league than he is. I mean, great on him for like overcoming that, obstacle
For
with
sure.
the height, but it's just wild to me that like yeah, I just like you're 6'5". Like the way that you were treated, I would have thought you were 5'7". I would have thought you were like Trendon Holiday playing quarterback, Like
It was so for all and again, I got super lucky, and like I said, backed it up with skill when the time came. The unfortunate part, and he actually has texted me in the past year and told me to stop talking shit about him, which I won't do. But
you
Mike
shouldn't
Zimmer,
do.
yeah, yeah, Mike Zimmer, he was probably the worst coaching situation for me to have gone into, just based on his view of quarterbacks. He wanted a older veteran type guy, to be his quarterback and then also his backup. Like he wanted to have the Matt Ryan, Matt Schaub. Like his dream is Matt Ryan, Matt Schaub as your starter and backup. Like that's the Mike Zimmer dream right there. And so to have a guy that was younger, did things a little bit differently, was energetic and brought a different type of um, I brought a different type of energy to the game that my teammates responded to. I don't think that he's an old school coach. And that's why, so John D. Filippo, after he got released from the Vikings or fired, he called me and he told me during the back half of that, my second season, he said, "Hey, I just want to let you know that you should do everything to try to get out of Minnesota because I worry about your career being under Zimmer." And so, had I been with a McVay, if I had been with Kevin, if I had been with anybody else that like, think about what you're looking for. Everyone on the planet is looking for a 23-year-old 6'5" quarterback that runs a 4.5 and has the leadership qualities, the accuracy, the arm strength. I mean, I feel like, and I'm gonna start tooting my own horn, and not meaning to, but I feel like if you're looking to make a quarterback in a lab, I feel like maybe add 10 pounds to me, and that's the guy that you're looking to draft in the first round. Um, so I don't know. It was unfortunate the way it worked out there, and I kind of think, had I gone anywhere else, that things would have worked out differently for me because again, once you leave the Vikings and you go elsewhere, you're not the young guy that they bet on that they can stamp their name of approval. That's like, hey, the Vikings, they want the ability, teams in the NFL want the ability to say, hey, we developed this guy, we are responsible for this guy, and that's what gets GMs, coaches, and everyone paid is, hey, we got a UDFA that ended up playing great. And then we were able to like trade him for assets, or he ended up being the guy that we had for much cheaper than like that's what gets guys paid. And so once I left there and went to the Cardinals, again, you're kind of like a stopgap placeholder because the Cardinals can't claim your development. They can't say you're just at that point a 25-year-old veteran that they can't be like. And Cliff Kingsbury was awesome. That was probably the only spot in my career where I do maybe regret. I If I could go back and change it, I would have loved to see what would have happened if I had stayed with the Cardinals instead of going to the Lions. The Lions, the only reason I left was because I was going to get my pension if I left because I was on the practice squad with the Cardinals. Now they were paying me what my active roster would have been, but they didn't have a roster spot for me. And so when the Lions came, the Cardinals said, "Hey, we'll activate you. We want you. We love you." And then the Lions go, "Okay, well, we'll give you a signing bonus." And the Cardinals, we go back to the Cardinals, and the Cardinals are like, "Well, we'll give you a signing bonus." And then we go back to the Lions because my agent's doing his job of seeing what he can do. Like he's just
Yeah.
negotiating. And so he goes back to the Lions and they're like, well, we'll give you a workout bonus. And then they go back to the Cardinals and tell them what they said. And they're like, you know what, just get the fuck out of here. Like, we don't even want you here anymore. Like, we've given you everything you want. And that was the only time because the thing is, my agent's telling me, he's like, not that this would happen, but if you say no to the Lions, they move on and go grab somebody. The Cardinals could just be telling you that they're going to activate you. And like if they activate you from their own practice squad, they can release you next week. And if the Lions bring you from somewhere else, the rule in the NFL is you have to have him activated for at least 3 weeks. So that gives you a credited
Mm,
season. So in the NFL, credited seasons are everything for your pension, your retirement, your
absolutely.
benefits. So like I got a ton of benefits by getting vested and getting my fourth season with the Lions. And so that was what played a role in me going there was like, I want to trust their word at the Cardinals, but with the Lions, they have to give me 3 games and I can definitely get my pension and all the benefits that come with it, some of them for life.
Yeah. And you got to play with Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, you know what's funny is I didn't realize this until this year. I work out with a Lions, like all the workout apparel that you take with you when you leave. They just, obviously give it to you. It's got your name on it and the like little area right here. And so Matthew Stafford was my locker mate. He was right next to me. And so I didn't realize it until this year, but our shirts got switched. And so I've got two of Matthew Stafford's like name tags right here in the back that I I think I actually am more prideful of those shirts than I care to admit. So um that's the only time I'm gonna admit that. I'm like, I got
I
Matthew
love
Stafford
that.
shirt.
That's
So
awesome. No, that's great. So I mean, basically, we'll tie that up in a bow. I mean, we got so many stories we could get to, but I know, I don't want to keep you too long, and I know we have to talk about what you're doing now, because
yeah.
you're doing some cool things, and I think it's really important because, and you mentioned, people get on me about this, and this, but it's like you've moved on. Like it's okay to tell stories and reminisce and think about what could have been and have that moment, right? But you have moved on. So explain to
Yeah.
the audience how Kyle Sloter has moved on from pro football.
Yeah, I would say the first year of being out of football was definitely different. You're not preparing for the game anymore. And you kind of it happens quickly. I mean, the calls just stop coming where they used to come all the time. It was like, hey, what are you doing? Where they're at least checking in on you.
Yeah.
But now I was at that point where it's like, hey, they're not even coming. So you see the writing on the wall. And it was tough initially for me. I would be lying if I said that it was something that was easy. They say that one of my coaches told me that athletes die twice. They die once when their career's over, and then obviously at the end. Um,
Oof.
and yeah, I don't want to think about the second death. But the
Yeah,
first
let's
death is
not.
the first death is easier to deal with. So it was, although hard. Um, it's not necessarily, yes, you missed the game, but you missed the camaraderie. Brett Favre said it one time, and I didn't understand it until it was gone. But he said the reason I keep coming back for years 20 and 21, and however long he played, um, he said the locker room, and the locker room is you don't get that anywhere else. It's a space where, I mean, it's really hard to describe. I mean, imagine your best friends that you just, as a man, your best friends that you have those relationships where you like talk shit and those types of things and laugh and have fun. I mean, now you add in 90 other guys that are all in that same space, and it's the best time ever. I mean, you really, really take for granted those moments because that was the only space that I ever knew. I mean, from the time I was a kid, you're always on a football team or you're always in this like it's awesome. So you don't get that anymore. You keep up with those guys, and those guys are still some of my best friends, like Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks, Harrison Smith. Still talk to those guys every day. And then let's see what else on that front before I get to the happy stuff. But yeah, no, you move on, and I really found, and I guess this is where I'm going with it, the competition side of it. When you don't have that anymore, and you've been competing your whole life, is difficult to not have. And I found it in this next venture. So I started two companies. One is a passion project. One is something that I'm working on every day, day to day. Um, and so the first one is a AI security based company. So we do. It started out with schools. Went to the Georgia Department of Corrections, tech colleges, and so essentially what we do is AI weapons detection, like concealed and brandished weapons detection, in which we can see through like backpacks, bags, hip holsters, try to get guns out of schools.
That's
Uh, you
awesome.
know, make places safer. My mom's an educator. I don't have my own kids at this point, but my mom has been an educator of 31 years, actually retiring in a week.
Oh,
And she
congratulations to your mom.
Yeah, I appreciate that. She's excited. Well, she's scared because it's all she's ever known,
Yeah.
just like me with football. But she's
Yeah.
excited to see what is on the other side. So, but I can't imagine some of the heartbreak and heartache of having something like that happen at a school with loved ones at it. So I mean, it's just got to be the worst thing in the world. And I'm sure when I have my own kids, it'll resonate a little bit more. I mean, geez. So worst things that happen in our country today are those issues, and we wanted to try to make a difference there, which led to some of the other capabilities that we have, like drone detection and deterrence for prisons. That's kind of what they're interested in there. And then the cool part about what we have been able to do. Is the Atlanta Falcons caught wind of what we're doing. We have had conversations with them to secure the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Those are ongoing conversations, so I can't say that they are completed and done. And then I got in touch with the Minnesota Vikings, pitched our idea to them, and they actually loved our technology and the things that we're capable of in the way of drone technology and AI facial recognition identification for fans and those types of things for their stadiums and keeping their players and environments safe. That they actually made a call to the NFL league office. And we have a meeting with them in 2 weeks to pitch our technology to the entire, hopefully, to put our technology in the entire NFL. So,
He's
um,
back in the NFL, folks.
yeah, so I think it's kind of cool. Like I would, I'm hoping that someday there's something where we can say NFL security for the players by the players. So
That would be cool.
they yeah, so I'm hopeful that that's something that we can get done. I think it's something very cool that the NFL could hang their hat on because, they do such a good job as an organization of preparing us for life outside of football, giving us the resources to be business owners. And I've learned a lot from doing the trips and outings and get-togethers, meeting with the different business minds that they bring in to talk to us. And so a lot of where I'm at right now has a lot to do with how they, gave us the resources to become business owners outside of our football careers. So I think it's a testament, it's hopefully a product that comes full circle to them, and is able to go into all their stadiums and secure their current arenas and stadiums, and we're excited to have those conversations. But I think it's something that's can be cool for everyone involved. So super excited on that front. And then the second one, I can't divulge anything too much because we are in the process of writing a patent. And so I think and this is actually, I wish I could talk about it more because I'm more excited about this. This one is strictly football, and I think we are about to change the game from a football standpoint in this technology that we are going to put out. It's been really, really fun and it's exciting, and I think within the next month I will be able to announce what that is. But um, it's
That's
it's
awesome.
a it's a product that I think is going to completely change the game, and I think it's going to be a household thing that not only players and coaches can use, but football fanatics and people that like, you go to the film breakdown stuff of like the people like me that are doing those types of things, the people like you that, like to do the draft analysis and things of that nature. It is going to make everything far more efficient. Um, and we have a minimum viable product right now in my hands that is pretty amazing. We hired an AI engineer that I can't divulge his name either because he has a full-time job for one of the biggest companies in the world right now. And he's like, I don't want them to know that I'm kind of doing two things at once. Um, so we're really excited about that, and that's something that I'm kind of working day and night on right now, as well as the security stuff. So just it's stressful. You mentioned
Yeah.
anxiety, the anxiety of owning and operating businesses and things of that nature, like you're doing yourself. Um, it is a new type of anxiety that I didn't think I could experience. I thought football and playing under the lights was probably the pinnacle of it. It is not. I'm here to tell you that, at least in my world, I'm much more comfortable on a football field than I am in a big meeting with some big names. So, um, but no, we're excited and hopefully going to have an announcement here on the front of that second football technology here in a month. So.
That's awesome. And I know you can't give away the name on that, but what was the name of the first thing that you're doing?
Safe Perimeter is the company
Safe
of the,
Perimeter.
yeah, Safe Perimeter is the name of the company for the AI-based security.
Cool. That's huge. And I'll say this just from seeing. I think it's a big issue at a lot of different stadiums. I mean, it's what happens when you mix in fanatics and alcohol, right, and
Yeah.
anger management, or the lack
Yeah.
thereof.
Yeah.
But but like at SoFi Stadium, we're always seeing, and I mean, I live in New York, but I'm always getting stuff sent to me. Look, can you believe Rams fans? Oh, hold on. This is not all Rams fans, okay? This is one
Yeah. Yeah.
drunk asshole. But the problem is, you do have these fans, and when you don't have that recognition software, and whether people agree with it or not, you don't have that. It's easy to have these fans come back in, and it's
For sure.
harder to, because I think, to me, if you fight at a game, there really should be a no tolerance policy. I understand sticking up for somebody, but like,
For
just
sure.
straight up, haymakers and whatnot. You got kids around. It's just it's. I will never understand the fighting at an event. I will never get
Yeah.
it.
Well,
It's frustrating.
it is. And so our technology, which I could talk all day on and I won't, because the offerings are really cool and there's a lot of them. But one of them is behavior anomaly detection and fight detection. So you can kind of see an exchange start, and
Oh wow!
it'll alert security where it's at, like within a 3 foot accuracy, within 3 feet of accuracy, and it will also pick up which privacy laws, we adhere to all privacy laws where when a fight happens, we are actually able to pull off your uh, Bluetooth address and MAC address off of your phone that is emitting a radio frequency signal. And
Wow!
so when that now it doesn't say Kyle Sloter's phone was part of this fight, it says like user 54321, and then if they were to like start a fight and you want to press charges, then you can uncover names and all those types of personal information
Wow!
through a warrant process. So we have the ability to do that through a warrant process. So you do have to go through the law, but should like something like that happen, we have everybody in the stadium's mobile device identifier. So if you're doing the wrong things in the stadium, they'll be able to find anybody, no matter really how far you go. So there's a lot of cool components to what we're doing. So we're excited about that, and hopefully we can get into all these NFL stadiums and continue to have some success with it.
And I love what you're doing with the schools. I'm hoping that goes like nationwide, because
Yeah,
that's important. And I
it
love
is.
that you led with that, because that is an issue.
Yeah,
And you have people. I mean, it's always really been an issue, right? We've always
yeah,
seen it, but this is what I really like about technology, in that you're taking this. This isn't just to make my life, like, I could be more lazy. This is
yeah,
actually to potentially save lives, and in a lot of circumstances, when it comes to like fighting, I mean,
yeah,
keep people enjoying their event that they paid for,
yeah.
and keep the violence out of it. So, and obviously there's other components to it, but that, to me, is why, like, this is where technology should be going. And I feel like in a lot of industries, Kyle, I can tell you right now, I think they're just using it to cut corners and do
Well,
things
a lot of people
cheap.
check
And
a box. Yeah, and
yeah,
what we've
so
found, if you see me get up and walk over to my charger here in a second, it's because I'm on 3%, so I'm not walking away from
Yeah, yeah.
show. But yes, that's kind of what we've seen. I don't want to say people don't care and that we care more than others, because I think everyone cares for their own kids and the safety of
Of
children.
course.
But man, in this business, what we've seen so far is people just checking boxes. They want capabilities and so we have actually talked with people that say they want to maintain their plausible deniability, which is a fancy term for if we give you all of the if we give you everything to stop an incident and it still happens due to negligence or you just not carrying out your duties, then like does a lawsuit fall on the school or the organization? Or like we just want to check a box and not have all the technology that we possibly can because it may raise, and then you're putting our asses on the line, which is an unfortunate way to look at the safety of children's security.
Yeah. No, definitely. I completely agree, Kyle. I definitely agree. Um, I know you. I think you got AirPods in, so that's why I'm
I
still
do. I
talking.
do. No, I'm good. I'm with you. I'm
But
just had to, gosh, I wasn't responsible enough to charge my phone well enough.
it happens, man. It happens.
We're
But
good now.
yeah, no, this was awesome, and I love what you're doing. And I'll have to get creative with the title. Like, left the NFL and now is bashing the door down or something like that, because I love this, and I feel like this is really inspiring for anybody that's been in your position, because there've been a lot of really talented players that just, you kind of either fizzle out, right, or your body gives out on you because you guys are
Yeah.
playing a dangerous sport. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like car crash after car crash. I know, I've been hit by
Yeah.
one. But but yeah, it's a lot, and so I love seeing stuff like this. My buddy Cameron Lynch, who I've done shows with, I did a full Ram show with at one point. He's a former
Yeah.
Ram and Buccaneer, played at Syracuse. I
Yeah.
don't know if
Yeah.
you know him.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
you do
don't, but
know him.
no, I don't know him, but
Oh,
I have,
oh, okay,
I
okay.
know the name, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So he's doing some stuff. He's working at building a media company, and I just like to see that, because it's like, just because. And I mean, you said, I'll use this because you said it. You died twice.
Yeah.
Athletes die twice. Just
Yeah.
because they killed off the character
Yeah.
doesn't mean you don't care about where the actor goes after the movie, right?
For
Like,
sure.
now, if I like that actor, I'm gonna watch the other things the actor's in. Like, if
Yeah.
I like that player, I'm interested in what he's doing. And there's so many cool things. I mean, obviously a high profile name, but I remember Torrey Holt,
Yeah.
working on, his foundation with his brother Terrence, that provides a guardian to a kid that has lost, their parent to cancer. So
Yeah.
I feel like that, just stuff like that, what you're
That's
doing with the
awesome.
schools, I love that. It's really it's giving back to the community, but you're also making a difference. And I
Sure.
just think that's really cool. I'm not surprised. I've gotten to know you. We've known each other since 2017. I'm not at all surprised. I know you got quite the heart. You're a good dude, easy to root for, easy to be pissed off at other people for not rooting for. But man, I appreciate you taking the time. Is there anything else you'd like to add real quick before I let you go?
No, that's it, man. I really appreciate you, rooting for you as well. Love your
Appreciate it,
show.
man.
I think you're doing good stuff. It's been fun to follow you. I, you know, I think from your perspective, you probably think that, you know, people that you interview probably haven't, they got their own stuff going on. They're busy, but it's been fun to watch you progress, is what I'm trying to say, and continue to get better at your craft. And I think you're going to do some big things in this space. You're already doing it. So super happy for you, and it's been fun to continue the friendship and beyond just interviews. Um, so wishing you the best, man.
I appreciate that, Kyle. We'll definitely have to get together. I think you're in LA, is it?
I am in LA. We're on opposite ends of the country right now, I believe. So, I'll have to make my way up to
Hey,
New
but you
York,
know where I
which
have to go.
that's
You know where I
true.
have to go to see my team.
That's
So,
very
you
true.
know,
Well, my
yeah, no,
AI guy that I'm doing that other passion project with, he is stationed in New York, so he's in Brooklyn,
is he?
which I think
Okay.
you're
I'm in
still a ways
upstate New
away.
York,
Yeah,
but
yeah. So still a ways
yeah,
away from there. Do you know Adam Wheatsman by chance? He's a
I don't.
billionaire in upstate New York that owns a metals scrapping business, and great philanthropist, great friend of mine. Somebody
Oh,
that
wow.
has been, yeah, he's somebody that I kind of look up to in terms of just like business, and
That's
he's
awesome.
super. He's got another guy with a super big heart that wants to help people, and I've kind of gone to him on a lot of things of how to do things and asked his opinion on stuff. So then, I mean, I have no business of. I don't know why I even brought up going up there because I'm not going to see him. He's busy with all his stuff. But just wondered. You say upstate New
Yeah.
York. To me, it sounds like a small place, but in reality, it's a big place. So a big area, I should
Yeah.
say. So probably don't
I'm
know,
not far
but
from Saratoga. So if you ever
gotcha.
find yourself, the horse races and all that, I
Okay, yeah, sweet.
rarely ever go, but I live not far from there. So
Awesome. Awesome. Well, if you're ever in the city and things align where I'm meeting with my AI guy, we'll have to link up for some dinner or something.
yeah, you ever want to go to a Yankee game as well? I cover the
Mm,
Yankees, so
let's go. Love that. Yeah, I need to. I feel like that's just every American needs to get to a Yankees game. Feels like a rite
I
of
like
passage.
that. Yes. All right. Well, hey guys, we really appreciate you watching the show. Be sure to check. Is it at Kyle Sloter? Just at Kyle Sloter. I don't have it in
Uh,
front of me.
for Twitter, you're saying?
For social media in general.
Yeah, at Kyle Sloter, I think is both, or K Sloter. Instagram might be K Sloter. I think Twitter is at Kyle Sloter.
All right, guys, you know where to find him. And if you want to actually put the player to the face, he's got all sorts of highlights that other people have posted on YouTube. So you're already here. Check it out. But that's going to do it. Hope you guys enjoyed the lounge. We're back. We're going to continue to have more interviews. Kyle, thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time.